Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. Today I'm making, I hope, an important video today. I'm gonna explain, as you can see in the title, I'm going to explain what The Shining is really about. Or no, maybe not explain, but just kind of, I'm going to use this as my official announcement video, letting you know, anybody who's watching this, that I believe that The Shining is really about the Manhattan Project and the creation of the atomic bomb. Okay. And this is, I'm doing this video, I'm following the suggestion of one of my, semi-regular commenters, whose screen name is Andromedwa. And Andromedwa said, why don't you just make a video? Just like, announcing it and saying it out loud that you believe that The Shining is really about the Manhattan Project, and do a good thumbnail, and and this one's for you, Andrew Meadwell, and I think Richard also, my not my collaborator, but like we share a lot of ideas together about Stanley Kubrick movies in general. Specifically, we've been, before Richard just had two adorable babies. Okay, him and his wife had two adorable babies. So he's been extremely busy with daddy business lately. And so that we haven't been talking very much, but before we were kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and Richard is another Tankard of Tales. Go watch his stuff. Go look at his channel. Is another like internet friend where we just kind of exchange ideas and what have you about, especially in lately, Lolita and The Shining. But today I'm just concentrating on The Shining and what I think is going on. I've already kind of covered that in the last month, right? In a couple of different videos, and I'll put them all in the description so you can watch any or all of them if you want to. The most recent one is this one, The Women of The Shining, and dang it, I forgot the Doctor Woman. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. The Doctor Woman. Probably because she's not like, I probably forgot her because I was thinking about the women closest to either Ullman or Jack Torrance in the movie. That's why I forgot the Doctor Woman. But I will make up for it somehow, I promise. So this one, The Women of The Shining, what's on TV in The Shining, top 15 iconic moments from The Shining and what they really mean. What else? What else have I been doing lately? A recent coffee break, Oppenheimer, The Manhattan Project, and The Shining. And this one, is The Shining really about ... the caretaker, aka Jack, aka, in my opinion, Oppenheimer. And then this one, Oppenheimer, The Summer of 42, and The Shining film analysis. This is where I started with all of this stuff. And it says here about a month ago. I don't know exactly what date a month ago, but about a month ago is when I really got started down this path, thinking and analyzing, and in my mind coming to the conclusion that The Shining is not about possibly anything that anybody has ever said it's about with regard to like conspiracy theory stuff. I don't believe that Stanley Kubrick is talking about the moon landing. I really don't. I know there's some other like theories out there. And I'm not saying that none of those people are right. No. What I'm saying is I'm throwing my idea onto the heap. And I believe that The Shining is about the Manhattan Project, all of the characters involved in the Manhattan Project, and the history of the Manhattan Project, both pre and post World War II. Okay, so the Manhattan Project, the official birth date of the Manhattan Project was 1942, summer of 42, and it, I guess, officially ended like more or less when the war ended. The Second World War ended in, what was it, 1945, 46-ish. By 1947, it was definitely over. But I'll get into that in the video. Let me do my church announcements. Y'all fire up the percolator. It is time. Um, so if you're new to the channel, that's my little thing here. We love coffee here at the Object of Art on YouTube. And 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 that's kind of like a kind of inside joke amongst me and the people who regularly watch my videos, because I don't just analyze Stanley Kubrick movies or The Shining. I've also branched out into David Lynch productions and stuff like that, and with Twin Peaks. And with Twin Peaks, that's a big deal. That damn fine cup of coffee in Twin Peaks is a big deal. And that's part of my argument that like I said, I'm going to put all of the videos where I talk about the Manhattan Project specifically in relationship to The Shining in the description. But I think that David Lynch is working on the same thing, or was working on the same thing, with movies such as Eraserhead and his TV series Twin Peaks. What does it all mean? I'm not entirely sure. But I've seen way too many coincidences that, when there's that many of them, then they can't be coincidences anymore. So anyway, you guys, fire up the percolator. Get the Maxwell House coffee ready, the Cafe Vienna, the Sanka, or whatever you do. If you order out, you get you a nice big order from Starbucks, like a Trenta, the big one. I told you in previous movies, that's my order. Either a iced latte or just a coffee with milk. The big one, either the Venti or the Trenta, with several shots of espresso and several pumps of toffee nut syrup. That is my order when I go and I work. I need to have that with me. That's my little good luck charm when I go, out into the trenches, so to speak. But so get your coffee ready, get the percolator to burrow. And returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. All 815 of you. I appreciate you all so very, very much. Please, all of you, doesn't matter why you're here, but please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you feel that that's the right thing to do. I especially enjoy your comments, and yes, I'm going to be doing a viewer mail soon, because your guys' comments in these Manhattan Project related videos I'm especially interested in, because it's me. This is my channel. The Object of Art is my channel, and I'm the one making these videos. But my commenters are quite dear to me. I appreciate them so much. There's my regulars. When I say regulars, I mean people who comment, almost under every video or very frequently. And people who leave comments with their ideas or their interpretation of stuff or their reaction to my ideas. I absolutely love it, because I feel like I'm putting this out there. I'm putting these videos and my ideas out there for you, for the people who are watching. Okay? I want you not necessarily to agree with me. Oh, good heavens, no. I want you to do your own research. I want to inspire you and maybe push you into doing some reading and researching and thinking. If you're not big into reading, that's okay. If you're like a visual person rather than somebody who likes to have their nose in a book, that's fine. There's no shame in that. I grew up surrounded by people who are visually oriented, who are not big readers. A lot of my family, especially the old people, were just illiterate, just straight up illiterate. But that doesn't mean they were stupid, So if you're a visual person, Stanley Kubrick is for you. David Lynch is for you. Movies and pictures and art is for you. And even if you just don't like reading, you can still see, I hope. You can still interpret the visual world that surrounds you in the form of everything, not just movies and art, but just walking down the street or going somewhere. Everything that you encounter in the world is a product of human intervention and manipulation, and it was meant, all of it was meant to have some kind of effect on you, on your mind, on your thoughts, on your ideas, on your intellectual capabilities. Every single last bit of it, even clothes and shoes and hairdos and, the design of furniture, you name it, coffee cups, hello, everything. And people like Stanley Kubrick and David Lynch and all these awesome film directors, Alfred Hitchcock, Steven Spielberg, they were extremely aware of that. And that's why they made their movies. And that's why they made their movies the way that they made their movies. That's maybe another video for another time. But today I'm telling you, why I think that in addition to all these videos I've been making in the past month, starting with this one here, Oppenheimer, The Summer of 42, and The Shining film analysis, and then onward, I'm going to put all of these in the description, like I said, but I'm going to tell you why I think that The Shining and possibly a lot of other Stanley Kubrick movies are about, maybe not specifically the Manhattan Project, but about war in general and the developments in military stuff and geopolitics and what have you in the 20th century when Stanley was alive and working and active as an artist / filmmaker. Okay, so hope you're ready. Hope you got your coffee. I might be taking a coffee break myself. I've been drinking a lot of coffee lately too, like gallons. Been thinking about this stuff a lot, plus working, plus doing my stuff from day to day. So get comfortable and let's get into it. Let me see what I got over here. Oh yes, this I put this here. This is kind of the one. Is The Shining really about the caretaker? Coffee break. So like I said, I'm going to put this and a bunch of the other ones in the description, and you can just watch them at your leisure whenever you have the time or the patience. But maybe I just need to make a Shining Manhattan Project playlist. I don't know, but this is one example, and this is what I'm going to do with the viewer mail. If you're new here, I'm just going to get all of my Manhattan Project related videos together and go through the comments and read the comments out loud, give you, my commenters, your props for your ideas, for your thinking, and react to it. And, that's what I do. I don't do lives. That's my version of a live, but whatever. So Manhattan Project, here we are, right? Here we are. This is the Wikipedia page for that blasted, no pun intended, Manhattan Project. It was a research and development undertaking during World War II that produced the first nuclear weapons. It was led by the United States in collaboration with the United Kingdom and with support from Canada. Okay? From 1942 to 1946, there you go. The project was under the direction of Major General Leslie Groves of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The nuclear physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer was the director of the Los Alamos laboratory that designed the bombs. The Army component was designated the Manhattan District, as its first headquarters were in Manhattan. The name gradually superseded the official code name, Development of Substitute Materials, for the entire project. Okay. The project absorbed its earlier British counterpart, tube alloys. The Manhattan Project grew rapidly and employed nearly 130,000 people at its peak and cost nearly $2 billion US, equivalent to about $24 billion in 2021. Over 90% of the cost was for building factories and to produce fissile material, with less than 10% for development and production of the weapons. Well, that's interesting. Research and production took place in more than 30 sites across the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. All right. So this is just the opening paragraph for the Manhattan Project on Wikipedia. And they have this cute little animation over here, or not animation, but cute little video of the Trinity test of the Manhattan Project on the 16th of July, 1945, which was the first detonation of a nuclear weapon. Okay, this is a historic event. And again, David Lynch talks about this in both Eraserhead and Twin Peaks. And I also, if you're new here, I'll just reiterate things I've said in my past videos. Stanley Kubrick was obviously very fond of David Lynch's film, The Eraserhead. He made his whole cast and crew for The Shining watch Eraserhead. And now I think I know why. Because Eraserhead is dealing with, what kind of world are we living in, where now we know. After the 1940s, we are fully aware of the horrors of war and how bad it can get. Okay, the World War II was a mess. It was horrible. Okay, and it, not just the Manhattan Project, not just Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but of course what was going on with the camps. Okay, the full evil of human beings was kind of realized during that war. And people like David Lynch and Stanley Kubrick were trying to make sense of that. They were, maybe it's impossible to make sense of that kind of evil and that much evil. But they had a curiosity. Artists like them, filmmakers like them. And they wanted to, in my opinion, they wanted to get to the bottom of it. And they were doing it in a way that no political scientist ever could, or sociologist, or psychologist, or economist, or any like, bona fide certified academic person. They were doing it in a way that you and me can understand. If only we would get our heads out of our asses and start paying attention to like what I was talking about a minute ago, the visual world that surrounds us, the man-made visual world that is chock full of symbolism and all kinds of messages coming to you from like right now or recently in history or all the way back like thousands and thousands of years ago. All of it is there. All of it exists in a continuum of some sort, right? And it's always there. It's always hovering. It's always in the air. Even something that happened 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years ago, it's still a part of this world that we live in. And it's there visually. We study art and art history in school for a reason. Not the reason maybe that they tell you that you should be studying it, but I like to do things a little differently. Okay? I like to do things a little bit differently. I do believe that art, I'm at a point where I believe art can change the world, but first you got to teach people how to read. Literacy is extremely important, and I don't just mean reading letters on paper or on a computer screen nowadays. No, I mean visual literacy. You need to know, or you need to learn how to read images, pictures. And Stanley and David were very literate in that area, and they're trying to teach us. Again, they're going above and beyond what is available in an ordinary curriculum at school, at any school, anywhere on planet Earth. Now, the Manhattan Project, I just read this to you. The Manhattan Project produced the world's first atomic weapon. All right? Pure evil. Pure evil, especially when you think what happened and what they did with it. And this hasn't been used since, as far as we know. This is an article that I used or I linked to in one of my prior videos from IndieWire. Stanley Kubrick explains why people don't understand nuclear threats in Dr. Strangelove documentary. In a new documentary accompanying a re-release for the film, the filmmaker's words are timelier than ever. This was written in April 2019. I'll leave this in the description as well if you want to look at it. I guess there's a documentary called Stanley Kubrick Considers the Bomb. Now, this is one reason why um, I one reason why additional reason why I think that The Shining is about the creation of the atomic bomb. You might be saying, well, wait a minute, Miss M. Stanley already did a movie about the atomic bomb. It's called Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, I know. Okay, trust me, I know. My argument is not just that. Stanley Kubrick, there he is in all of his glory. My argument is not just that Stanley Kubrick made The Shining as a kind of coded or a symbolic work, telling us the viewers, about the creation of the atomic bomb and the Manhattan Project and the whole thing. I believe a lot of his movies are war movies or dealing with that subject matter. Military stuff, geopolitical things, and what they mean to you and me, the individual, living our daily lives. I would say maybe most of his movies are about that subject, even when they don't look like they are. Kind of like The Shining. The Shining, people have been trying to figure out that movie for years. Just go online and you will find website after website after website, blog after blog after blog, on YouTube, video after video after video of people trying to decipher or decode Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That one attracts the most, like obsessive people like me, or people with OCD, ADHD, maybe people who are just a little weird, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we see something that maybe most of the population doesn't. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're smart, but it means that our perceptive faculties, our perceptive apparatus is a little bit different. Maybe you have dyslexia, and the written word, it just wasn't easy for you to deal with growing up or whatever. So your sensibilities or your perception is more geared toward visual things, like I explained a little while ago, right? Stanley Kubrick got a D average in high school, so we're in good company. Okay, Steven Spielberg dropped out of college. I don't know if he even went. I mean, these people maybe can't deal with books or writing in a regimented way like they expect you to do at school, but that doesn't mean that they can't communicate. They communicate with pictures. Anyway, so I believe a lot of his movies are about military stuff, not just The Shining. Okay, Stanley's trying to tell us something, and I wanted to show you Room 237. This is the big one in The Shining. I believe that Room 237, again, I've covered this in previous videos, and I will continue to, is a forbidden room, like Halloran tells Danny at the kitchen table after he gives him the ice cream. He says, Danny says, Mr. Halloran, what's in Room 237? And Halloran gets this look on his face like, oh my God. It's kind of like when a child asks a question about something that a child just shouldn't know about, And then there you are, the grown-up, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. How do I answer that question? How do I answer this child's question about stuff that children shouldn't know about? Not yet. Not at Danny's age. It's, so when a child asks you a question about something inappropriate, I won't go into detail. And how are you going to answer that question? How are you going to answer that question? And so Halloran gets that look on his face, and he says to Danny, there's nothing in Room 237. And Danny says to him, you're scared of Room 237, ain't you? And Halloran says, no, I ain't scared. Of course he is, but he's covering it up for the kid. And he says to Danny, you don't go in there. You stay out of that room. You ain't got no business going into that room. So stay out. You understand me? Stay out. Why does he need to stay out of room 237? Because it's dangerous in here. Look at this horrible place. Look at it. Gross. And look at the radiator. Like I've said in previous videos, every time you see a radiator in The Shining, this is a shout out to David Lynch and Eraserhead. Because what do radiators do? They radiate. Like, radioactive materials. Radiation. Hello. Anyway, so this is what you're looking at in the interior of room 237, which is gross. It's just a gross room with hideous decor. I hope. Ooh, Stanley did a number on this room. Oh, look at these. Ooh. Well, the bathroom isn't so bad, but basically what you're looking at is uranium green. Okay. And the inside of room 237, and the reason why Halloran tells Danny to stay the hell out of there is because room 237 is basically a nuclear reactor. Or whatever kind of like device in the world of atomic weapons and whatever. The place where, what are they called? Fissile materials, right? Fissile material is a material that can undergo nuclear fission when struck by a neutron of low energy. Okay, and this is what is going on in room 237. I say it's a nuclear reactor just because when people hear nuclear reactor, they know what that means. It's a place where humans are not supposed to be because it's extremely dangerous to be here. You're going to get radiation. You're going to get sick. You might get, radiation poisoning or whatever from being in a place like this. And room 237, again, I've covered this in my other videos. Go watch them. Why is it in Stephen King's book? It's not room 237. It's room 217, 217. But Stanley changed that to room 237, and people have been trying to figure out why for years. I think I've figured it out. 237 is the atomic mass of an element called neptunium that was discovered by these researchers prior to the Manhattan Project, but their work was used. Their research was used in order to create the atomic bomb. And in order to create the atomic bomb, you need fissile materials. You need radioactive elements that need to be mined, chiefly uranium. We all know about uranium and its relation to atomic weapons making. But it's not just uranium. Uranium, they treat it. They do stuff to it in order to create plutonium, which is used. All of these materials are used, not just uranium. So uranium needs to decay into neptunium, and then in turn neptunium becomes plutonium. And if you remember, like shows from the 50s, 60s, the atomic age, as it's called, okay, there was a lot of talk about, I discovered like even on the Munsters. Like Grandpa Munster had like this Geiger counter or whatever. It was like in the early 60s, people were, talking about this, and it was on everybody's mind, especially with the Cold War and the whole thing. But the reason Stanley named or it switched the number from 217 to 237 is because the element that is the halfway point between uranium and plutonium is neptunium, and neptunium has an atomic mass of 237. All right, when you do a little bit of reading about this, I'm not an expert, but 237 is one of the isotopes of neptunium. It's one of the isotopes of uranium, okay? And I think maybe also plutonium too. I'm not a chemist, I'm not a physicist. So that's why I'm having trouble with that kind of literature. But, what are the odds? What are the odds? Okay, so basically that's why Danny is not allowed, or Halloran tells Danny to stay the hell out of room 237 because you ain't got no business going in there. That's what you tell a child. Don't go near the hot stove. Do they listen? No, just like Danny didn't listen in The Shining. But let me keep it moving. Here's Stanley. Here's his Wikipedia page, right? And I wanted to specifically in this video show you his filmography. Okay, that was his Wikipedia page, and this is his page for the filmography. Okay, so here's the list down here, right? He has documentary shorts, but I'm really interested in the feature films. And the feature films, I don't know, they have this one in here that's called The Spy Who Loved Me, James Bond, 1977. I need to look into this. But he's not the director, he's not the writer, he's not the producer. But he has uncredited lighting design. Okay. So that, that isn't his directorial work. So I don't know why it's on the list. I really don't know, but it's there. Maybe just so it won't be 13, because without The Spy Who Loved Me, his feature films list is 13, exactly 13. Starting with Fear and Desire and ending with Eyes Wide Shut. Fear and Desire is 1952. Eyes Wide Shut is 1999, the same year as Stanley Kubrick's death. All right? And my argument is that all of these, or most of these, can be interpreted as being either war movies or movies that are discussing and dealing with subject matter that has to do with war in some way, shape, or form. Fear and Desire is his first feature film that we know about from 1952. Okay, and Eyes Wide Shut is the last one. In the mid, there's Killer's Kiss, The Killing, Paths of Glory, Spartacus, Lolita, Doctor Strangelove, the one that's obviously about the atomic bomb. Okay, but there's also 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut. All right, that's one of my arguments. This is one of my theories that I'm just putting out. I've got another one in the crock pot that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but I will one day. But like I said, not just The Shining. The Shining is not obviously about war. Or the Manhattan Project, for that matter. Again, let me go back here. Right? The Shining is not obviously, it's not meant to be obvious. There's a whole community of people online who believe that Stanley Kubrick was communicating, some people say subliminally. I actually don't. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I don't think he was using subliminal messaging. I think it was like totally in our faces, except we didn't know how to look at it. Okay? And it goes back to Erwin Panofsky's theory of disguised symbolism. I think that Stanley Kubrick was aware of that, and he was using that in his work. Disguised symbolism means you can see the symbolism. It's not like you don't have to move things or dig it up or whatever. No, it's right in front of your face. But it's disguised, even though it's right in front of your face, because you don't know what it means. Did that make sense? If it didn't, go ahead and rewind. It's in your face. You can see it. You can see it. An object, an item, a thing, a color, whatever. You can see it. It's not hidden. It's not subliminal. You can completely see it, just like you can see everything in The Shining. It's just about it's a matter of meaning. Interpretation, I guess so. Interpretation is one thing, meaning is another. But interpretation means that like a bunch of different people can have a completely different opinion about the same thing. But meaning, kind of, depending on what's going on, like if an artist or an author intended a meaning, that's the meaning. It's just that you and me haven't figured it out yet. It doesn't change the meaning. The meaning is what it is. It is the variable. Okay, it's the X that you have to solve for. If we're talking about equations and whatever, it's just a matter of solving for it. Go back to your algebra classes in high school if you remember all of that nonsense. We're solving for it. What does it mean? I believe it means, with regard to The Shining, which is the one I'm concentrating on, it's about the Manhattan Project. There's no doubt in my mind anymore. I'm saying it with my full conviction. I'm saying it with my chest, as they say, with my full voice. I'm no longer speculating. If I encounter new information in the future that proves me wrong about that, I will be the first one to let you know. I promise you that. But I totally and utterly believe that the Manhattan Project is what Stanley Kubrick was really trying to tell us about in The Shining. Okay, well, let me just open up the page for The Shining while we're here. Where is it? There it goes. Okay, and this is the no, not that one. No, there it is. And look at the poster. The tide of terror that swept America is here. This is the movie poster at the Wikipedia page anywhere. There's a couple of them. It's not the only one. And all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And this Adler typewriter. Okay, check it out, as Jack says in the movie. By the way, you guys, one of my commenters pointed out, and that's why I feature you guys in my viewer mail coffee break videos, that Oppenheimer, who I believe is the character or the person from the Manhattan Project that Jack is representing in the Shining, Oppenheimer is Jack, and Ullman is Leslie Groves, and of course Wendy would be Oppenheimer's wife, Kitty Oppenheimer. Look at his biography, right? Look at his biography. So, Oppenheimer was educated, yada, yada, yada. And in 1911, he entered the Ethical Culture Society School, founded by Felix Adler. Okay? One of my commenters, and I can't remember exactly who, but I will give you your props in the upcoming viewer mail video. Look, Adler typewriter. Adler typewriter. Felix Adler is the one who started the school that Oppenheimer attended as a boy. Okay. All right. Now, Fear and Desire is Stanley's first feature film, Fear and Desire. And if you go ahead and read the description for this one, right, it's a 1952 American independently produced anti-war film, directed, produced, and edited by Stanley Kubrick and written by Howard Sackler. I gotta look this up. I gotta watch this thing all the way through. With a production team of 15 people, the film, which originally premiered at the Venice Film Festival under the title Shape of Fear, was Kubrick's feature directorial debut. Though the film is not about any specific war, it was produced and released at the height of the Korean War. Fear and Desire opens with an off-screen narration by actor David Allen, who tells the audience there is a war in this forest, not a war that has been fought, nor one that will be, but any war, and the enemies who struggle here do not exist unless we call them into being. This forest, then, and all that happens now is outside history. Only the unchanging shapes of fear and doubt and death are from our world. These soldiers that you see keep our language and our time, but have no other country but the mind. Oh shit, I gotta watch this. Okay, the story is set during a war between two unidentified countries. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna see why I think that Kubrick was kind of, I think Kubrick, I mean, I'm not a diagnostician. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or any kind of health professional, mental or otherwise. But I think that Stanley may have had a touch of the Asperger's. or OCD or something like that that made him a little bit obsessive, because I think all of his feature films have to do with war and dealing with the subject of war and dealing specifically with things like atomic energy, nuclear weapons, or even like military intelligence, which I talked about recently in one of my videos. Now, the thing about this, and I'm going to take a coffee break pretty soon because I need it. And maybe you guys need to like refill your cup too. But the one that's obvious with regard to Stanley and the atomic bomb is Dr. Strangelove. People don't even wonder whether or not this movie is about the atomic bomb, because it's called, the full title of the movie is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. First of all, that title, that full title, How I Stopped excuse me, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. We should all be like thinking about that. That's a very odd title. How and why could anybody ever love the bomb? And the bomb that they're referring to is the atomic bomb. And this is supposed to be a political satire, black comedy film from 1964. Okay, so where's his filmography? There it is. So, hold up. Okay, so Lolita, 1962. Strangelove, 64. Interesting. Okay. So Strangelove was made after Lolita. All right. And you can read the description of this too. It's about these generals and people arguing about using the atomic bomb. Okay. And this is supposed to be a comedy. But it's kind of horrifying for a comedy. Of course, we would expect nothing less from Stanley Kubrick. Now, I found a couple of articles. Again, every time I look it up, I cannot find, when I look up Stanley Kubrick and the atomic bomb or nuclear weapons or something like that, it always points me in the direction of Dr. Strangelove. And here's an article from the New Yorker. Almost everything in Dr. Strangelove was true, by Eric Schlosser, January 2014. I'll leave this in the description. Okay, you can read it on your own. I'm already going to talk your ear off in this video, so this the last couple of paragraphs are kind of what tie it together. Listen, in retrospect, it says here, second to last paragraph of this article. In retrospect, Kubrick's black comedy provided a far more accurate description of the dangers inherent in nuclear command and control systems than the ones that the American people got from the White House, the Pentagon, and the mainstream media. Oh, by the way, Leslie Groves, the real boss of the Manhattan Project, just found out the other day that he was the one who oversaw the building of the Pentagon. Interesting, right? Anyway, the final paragraph of this article. This is absolute madness, Ambassador, President Merkin Muffley says in the film after being told about the Soviets' automated retaliatory system. Why should you build such a thing? This is, I guess, President Muffley talking. 50 years later, that question remains unanswered, and Strangelove seems all the more brilliant, bleak, and terrifyingly on the mark. This is the question that Stanley is trying to answer. Throughout possibly his entire filmmaking career, why should you build such a thing? Meaning the atomic bomb. Okay? Why should you build such a thing? Why would or this, delivery system for atomic weapons, or whatever they're talking about in Strangelove. He's asking the same question in The Shining. And possibly Barry Lyndon, too. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm working on, like I told you about the crock pot. I'm working on something with regard to Barry Lyndon and a lot of his other movies, Clockwork Orange, 2001, Doctor Strangelove, even Eyes Wide Shut is possibly about war. Everybody thinks it's about sex or romantic relationships or marriage. No, I think it's about war. I think it's about war. And, I'll get into it. I've got a couple more articles that I want to go over with you real quick, or just, describe them and talk about, again, what I'm talking about in this video, and then I'll let you go. But again, this is my official announcement. Yes, I believe that Stanley Kubrick made The Shining about specifically the Manhattan Project. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute after my own coffee break. All right, I'm back. So, where was I? Oh, yes. The question, why should you build such a thing? Regarding the atomic bomb. Okay. What's going on? The doomsday machine, right? The doomsday machine with regard to the atomic bomb and Dr. Strangelove. Again, when people think atomic bomb and Stanley Kubrick, they always think of Dr. Strangelove. They don't think about any other movie. What if a bunch of his movies are about this or stuff like this with regard to military stuff, geopolitical stuff, war, just armed conflict? And people just haven't been paying attention because most people, their level of understanding is stuck in a basic kind of mode, like a level 1 kind of mode. And I'm not saying that I'm smart or anything. No, this took me a while to do. I've been making Shining videos for a year, at least a year, a little over a year. And I just came to this conclusion, like I showed you on my video page about a month ago. I was like wrecking my brains. I said, there's got to be something going on. And for those of you who, again, you're wondering, you're thinking, this is, I've had other ideas about this, and you can see them in my videos. Go ahead and watch all of them. If you have the time. And yes, my videos are long because this takes some doing. This takes some thinking. This didn't happen overnight with regard to my analysis of this movie and like other stuff to do with Stanley Kubrick, his other movies, stuff like that. No, it took a while. It took a good long while. And I'm just looking at this banner at the top of this website, The Shining Sets. And I'm looking at the gold room. Why are there 4 doors to walk into one room? Oh, I see stuff all the time. I see stuff all the time that don't make no sense, but things that I'm going to have to think about, figure out. Why are there 4 doors? Like, wouldn't 1 be enough? Or maybe 2? Oh, yeah. But whatever. So, everybody always thinks of Dr. Strangelove. They never think of The Shining. They never think of Lolita. Lolita might be about that too, because the events that take place, I'm going to go back to his filmography. The events that take place in Lolita happened during the 1940s in the book by Vladimir Nabokov. Oh, what if I'm right, you guys? And I know, like I said, I know there's a lot of theories out there about what Stanley was really trying to do, what his movies really mean. Specifically The Shining. The Shining gets the most of it. Eyes Wide Shut, though. What if that's just a continuation of this theme, of this war theme? Maybe, the Eyes Wide Shut deals with, there's nudity, there's sexuality, whatever. What if that's about war too? What if that's about because I'm also thinking it's not just about Stanley Kubrick's movies are really about war stuff, all of them. Not just The Shining, not just Full Metal Jacket or Paths of Glory or whatever, but they're also about the way we get manipulated as people, as ordinary citizens just living in this world, on this planet, and the way that our minds are messed with by the powers that be on a daily basis, starting when we're very young. And how long that's been going on. Not yesterday. Didn't start yesterday or 20 years ago or 100 years ago. Maybe since day one. And that's why another one of my things is that Stanley Kubrick incorporates a lot of mythology. And it even says in his bio, if you want to look at it on Wikipedia, that he was really big into mythology. And mythology is full of war. Stories about war. Especially Greek mythology, my God. You know, but most all of them have to do with some kind of a discussion of war. Again, if I'm right about this Manhattan Project thing, what are the implications? Not just with regard to Stanley Kubrick's body of work, but like I was saying in this video the other day, the women of the was it the women of the Shining or what's on TV in the Shining? I'm not sure, but okay, if I'm right, I think I am, but I always leave possibility that I could be wrong. What if I'm right? So what? Who cares if I'm right? If I am right that The Shining is really about the Manhattan Project and not about the moon landing, or any of the other conspiracy theories or whatever film theories they say that it's about about the Native Americans. Yeah, it is a little bit about the Native Americans because the Native Americans were exploited during the Manhattan Project, but that's only one part of it. It's about the Manhattan Project and all the people that got hurt. Okay? And I missed, when I did the Women of the Shining, I forgot about the doctor woman, the one that gets called in by Wendy when Danny has his episode. I forgot about her, but she's a doctor. The next time we see a doctor in a Stanley Kubrick movie after The Shining is in Eyes Wide Shut, and that's like the main character played by Tom Cruise, Dr. Hartford. What is he saying about the medical profession? Is that a part of the military-industrial complex too? Oh boy, I'm having all kinds of ideas. So I'm going to leave this New Yorker article. And then there's also this. This is the introduction to a book called Reconstructing Strangelove, an introduction, Stanley Kubrick's Atomic Antecedents. And you can't read the whole thing. It's behind a paywall. But they have this first page of, I guess, this part of the book. It says this book is premised upon the assumption that anyone reading it will already have viewed Dr. Strangelove or Atomic Antecedents, have already viewed Dr. Strangelove or have a working knowledge of the film. This book is not devoted to a close textual reading of the film or a cineast's analysis of the aesthetics of the movie. There are scores of such works on the subject available as monographs, biographies, book chapters, journal articles, blogs, and documentaries, many cited in this book's bibliography. While by no means the last word on Strangelove, there are still volumes to be written. I have endeavored to do justice to more than 5,000 pages of primary material gleaned from various archives. Okay, whatever. Hence, my focus has been narrowed to chart the initial impetus and cultural political context of Kubrick's approach to the subject matter, following the evolution of the creative collaborations that begat a work that remains a landmark of 20th century cinema. It is not clear precisely when. This is interesting. It is not clear precisely when filmmaker Stanley Kubrick began studying the thermonuclear dilemma. Certainly, by 1952, it was known. Certainly, by 1958, it was known that Kubrick had been, quote, intrigued by the threat of nuclear war, end quote. According to dance archivist and Killer's Kiss choreographer David Vaughn, Kubrick had discussed his fears of nuclear attack while living on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the mid-1950s. Okay. So, again, everybody always thinks that the only movie that Kubrick made about this subject was Dr. Strangelove. No. My argument is the people who are trying to decode The Shining, and there's been a lot of them. Just Google it. Just Google it. All the theories about The Shining, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. One of my arguments within my theory is that the Grady twins, the two little girls in the hallway, they represent the cities that got bombed, that the atomic bomb was used on those cities. The one and only time it happened, when it was used as a weapon, was Nagasaki and Hiroshima. The Grady twins represent Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which are not just twin cities, but also sister cities, just like those two little girls. And the bomb itself is represented by the axe that killed those two little girls. Their father chopped them up, and that later Jack tries to use to kill Danny and Wendy, but he ends up killing Halloran with it. Oh boy. You know, that's one thing I've got going on. And I was talking about the gold room. Yeah, the gold room. I've covered this in previous videos. I will restate these things over and over again, and new things as I find them. All right. It's complicated. Now, this book, this abstract or whatever from this book, you can find this book. I found on BarnesandNoble.com, Reconstructing Strangelove Inside Kubrick's Nightmare Comedy. Okay, and interestingly, it's, this image of Stanley Kubrick is bathed in red. Interesting. Remember the blood from the elevator in The Shining. It says, during his career, Stanley Kubrick became renowned for undertaking lengthy and exhaustive research prior to the production of all his films. In the lead up to what would eventually become Dr. Strangelove, Kubrick read voraciously and amassed a substantial library of works on the nuclear age. Well, damn. With rare access to unpublished materials, this volume assesses Dr. Strangelove's narrative accuracy, consulting recently declassified Cold War nuclear policy documents alongside interviews with Kubrick's collaborators. It focuses on the myths surrounding the film, such as the origins and transformation of the straight script versions into what Kubrick termed a nightmare comedy. It assesses Kubrick's account of collaborating with the writers Peter George and Terry Southern against their individual remembrances and material archives. Peter Sellers' improvisations are compared to written scripts and daily continuity reports. Oh, so they had continuity reports, eh? Yeah, I'm going to do that video, an essay soon about Mr. Eyebrow. I sure am. Continuity reports showcasing the actors' brilliant talent and variations. Okay, so obviously Stanley was obsessed with nuclear war, nuclear policy documents, that kind of thing. Okay. I don't think it ended with Dr. Strangelove. I think maybe even Barry Lyndon. Maybe he's talking about something. Again, if I'm right that The Shining is not about the moon landing, is not about anything that a lot of theorists have said over the years, and that it's really about the Manhattan Project and the different people involved in that project and their roles, and what really went on behind closed doors in secret in the Manhattan Project. That isn't the end of it. There's still the so what. And I believe the so what is Stanley is trying to tell us something that maybe I might not, even if I figure it out, I might never be able to tell you. Long pause. I might never be able to tell you. is about war, it's about history, it's about mythology, and how we've been, us human beings have been manipulated by the powers that be since day one. I mean, I'm going back to prehistory when I say since day one. There's something that Stanley wishes he could tell us. Past tense, wished he could have told us and said it out loud, but he couldn't, and nobody can. And David Lynch, too. They were on the same page as artists and filmmakers with their subject matter. Remember I was talking about uranium, plutonium, neptunium. Yeah, David Lynch covers it too in Twin Peaks and possibly Eraserhead, although I have to take a better look at Eraserhead, but definitely Twin Peaks. What is going on? There's Freud, there's Jung, or Jung, sorry. There, the Eros and Thanatos deal. I think that Stanley is definitely working that angle as well. There's so much going on. There's so much going on with regard to this. Stanley Kubrick wanted to help people. That's what I believe. He wanted to save the world. And this was his way of doing it. There's something that he couldn't say out loud and nobody could say out loud. So he didn't say it out loud. He just showed us pictures. And if we're gonna analyze and disassemble the images that were, that Stanley created in his movies, that this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And this is the context. This is the theme. War, military, manipulation. There's so many ways to wage war. It's not just using weapons to kill people. No, there's so many more ways. That's the worst way. Murdering people, that's the absolute worst way to do it. But there's so many other ways to do it. And Stanley is maybe telling us that too. Maybe he's telling us that art is a weapon. Or that art has been weaponized since day one. Again, going all the way back to prehistory. That's kind of where, this is heavy and this is big. That's why it's taking me so long. And that's why I'm having a little bit of trouble, because I hit a mental block. This entire time I've been trying to figure out what's The Shining about. What is Stanley Kubrick really trying to say? I start from the formal analysis. How do the images look? That's what my series, Understanding The Shining, is about. Just looking at frame by frame, almost, of The Shining and seeing what Stanley Kubrick showed us. What objects, items, things, colors, shapes, whatever, did he include in his cache of images in this particular movie, The Shining? And then we go from there. Okay, this is what it looks like. We've described it. We've described the image's vital statistics. Okay, now what do those things mean? Or what could they possibly mean? And your brain, your mind is your limit. Your thinking is the only thing that can limit you in something like this. Now let me see what my last link here is. Oh, here it is. This is an interesting article that I found. It's called the Sci-Hi blog. And look at this, like particles surrounding, well, goddamn, surrounding a Greek column. Stanley uses columns in The Shining and in Full Metal Jacket. Oh my god. Wow. Sci-Hi blog, daily blog on science, tech, art, and art in history. Okay. I might have to subscribe to this thing. Anyway, Edward Teller and Stanley Kubrick's Doctor Strange. Okay, we're going to talk about Edward Teller in the future, but I'm going to leave this here for you, okay, for you to read. On January 5th, 1908, Hungarian-born U.S. theoretical physicist Edward Teller, often referred to as the father of the hydrogenic bomb, was born. Teller made numerous contributions to nuclear and molecular physics, and is considered one of the inspirations for the character Dr. Strangelove in the 1964 Stanley Kubrick movie of the same name. Now, this is a quote from Edward Teller, as quoted in Nuclear Reactions by Joel Davis in Omni, May 1988. The quote is, "There's no system foolproof enough to defeat a sufficiently great fool." Well, okay, Mr. Teller, or Dr. Teller, whatever. Now, this is him. Oh, look, he's got a picture of the Trinity test right behind him on the wall. Well, isn't that something? Oh, well, look at this. He took part in a seminar at Berkeley University in 1942, which is to be understood as the origin of the Manhattan Project. And this was following an invitation by Robert Oppenheimer. Well, damn. Oh my God. Okay, so I gotta look at this Teller person now. Father of the hydrogenic bomb. This is a model, or this is a diagram of the hydrogen bomb design. Okay, alright, it looks like a battery. But whatever. Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. Okay, testifying against Yes, this is why. He testified against Oppenheimer. Whew. Yeah, it's going to get interesting in the future video, so I suggest you subscribe if you want to see where I'm going to take this, because I don't even know at this point. Later years. Okay. Later years. I think there was a quote in here that I wanted to share with you. There's something that I wanted to, let's see. There was something that I wanted to share with you. Okay, he testified against Oppenheimer. Okay. Good Lord, where's the quote? Hold on. I could have sworn it was here a minute ago. Hold on. Okay, I found the quote, but it's not in this article. But anyway, he testified against Oppenheimer, and this Teller. In the 1980s, Teller began a campaign for what later became the Strategic Defense Initiative, also known as Star Wars. The concept was to use laser and satellite technology to defend against Soviet intercontinental missiles, and the quote from Teller is, "We must learn to live with contradictions because they lead to a deeper and more effective understanding." Okay. All right. Now, what does it say here? Is he the basis of Dr. Strangelove? Or is he supposed to be? Yeah, he is considered one of the inspirations for the character Dr. Strangelove in the 1964 Stanley Kubrick movie of the same name. And Edward Teller says there's no system foolproof enough to defeat a sufficiently great fool. Okay, now here's where I found the quote that I wanted to share with you from the New Yorker. I know I read it somewhere. And this is it's about the Doomsday Machine. The most unlikely and absurd plot element in Strangelove is the existence of a Soviet doomsday machine. The device would trigger itself automatically if the Soviet Union were attacked with nuclear weapons. It was meant to be the ultimate deterrent, a threat to destroy the world in order to prevent an American nuclear strike. But the failure of the Soviets to tell the United States about the contraption defeats its purpose and, at the end of the film, inadvertently causes a nuclear Armageddon. And this is a quote by Dr. Strangelove. "The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret. The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret." I'm going to read that one more time. This is coming from the man himself in the movie, Dr. Strangelove. Apparently, he represents, according to these people, and I'll just take their word for it, he represents Edward Teller, who's a pretty interesting figure in the whole Manhattan Project saga and the Oppenheimer saga. Okay, I'll read it one more time. The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret. I don't know how you all feel about that, but to me, this is a line straight from the movie, spoken by Dr. Strangelove. Let me go back to Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, Stanley wrote it, co-written with Terry Southern and Peter George, but Stanley has a writing credit. I wouldn't be surprised if Stanley's the one who put that in there. The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret. Okay? The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret. I mean, that seems obvious, doesn't it? Like, if you have a security system in your house, you put a sign right in front of your house. Like, the security system company gives you a sign to put, like, right on your lawn, announcing that you have a security system. And that's supposed to be part of the security system itself. Like, announcing to whoever's walking by your house that you have one. That's supposed to be a deterrent. The sign that says, you know, the whatever company you're using, security, that you have an alarm system and you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. Does it work? I'm not talking about the alarm system. I'm talking about that sign. I don't know, because I'm not a thief. I'm not a burglar. So I don't know. It's never crossed my mind to try to break into somebody's house. But, I mean, does it work? I know security systems, I had an experience where somebody broke into somewhere and they didn't know. The burglars, the almost thieves, they didn't end up being thieves because they didn't steal anything, but they did break in. And there was no sign on the window of this place that they broke into. There was no sign announcing that the place was that it had a security system. So when they broke the window, but there was a security system. So when they broke the window, the alarms started blaring, and they ran off. When they heard the alarms, they ran off. So I don't know. Maybe it is a deterrent. Maybe it is a deterrent. I don't know. I gotta think about that one. But so you guys, this is my video, basically announcing with my full conviction that The Shining is about the Manhattan Project. Stanley does include some more things in there, and I've discussed them in previous videos. You can go and check them out. But I think his main thing with specifically the movie that I'm dealing with in most of my videos about Kubrick movies is The Shining. His main thing is it's about the Manhattan Project and all of these different characters in the Manhattan Project. Namely, you know, this is Jack right here, J. Robert Oppenheimer. Like Stuart Ullman as Leslie Groves. Dick Halloran, I have one candidate for who that could be. Bill Watson, I have another candidate for who that could be. I need to even look at the people in the Forestry Service, to be honest with you. I need to I need to take a good look at Albert Einstein too, and that's what I'm going to be doing in my next video. I know you might not think that. Again, they don't teach us about this thing in school. They don't teach us that Albert Einstein had a lot to do with the creation of, I mean, maybe they do, but not at my school. That Albert Einstein had a lot to do with the creation of the atomic bomb. And without Albert Einstein, like, it wouldn't be there. More or less. Right? That's going to be my next video. And yes, it has to do with The Shining. I promise you. So you're going to want to stick around for that. You're going to want to stick around. And I'll show you where Albert Einstein is in The Shining. I think you're going to be surprised. But I hope you enjoy this. This is the way I make my videos. Yes, maybe I ramble, but I'm taking you through the process. I'm not just showing you or just telling you, okay, this is what's going on. Don't question me. No. I want you to question me. I want you to doubt me with every fiber of your being. Because shit, I could be wrong. I could. I want you, if this makes you angry, if this video made you angry and you think I'm just batshit crazy, good. I hope that anger inspires you to go do some reading about whatever you want to read about. Use The Shining as your starting point. Look stuff up. Phrases, images that you remember from the movie. Describe them and put them in a Google search and see what you find. Objects, items, things in the movie, in The Shining, or Full Metal Jacket, or Eyes Wide Shut, or Clockwork Orange, or Barry Lyndon, or it doesn't matter which one of his movies, or a David Lynch movie, Eraserhead, Twin Peaks, Mulholland, whichever one. That's your keyword searches. Images, items, things that you saw in those movies, or situations. Describe a situation in the Google search box, and you never know what you'll find. You'll never know. You never know what you'll find. You never know what you're going to be learning about that day when you do those searches. So inspired by stuff that you saw in a Stanley Kubrick movie, or a David Lynch movie, or a Steven Spielberg movie, or an Alfred Hitchcock movie, or a Fritz Lang movie, or whatever, or Kurosawa movie, or whatever director you're dealing with. It doesn't even have to be Stanley. That's how you learn. That's how you expand your mind. That's why those movies are there. That's why those filmmakers made them. To educate you. And they did their part. Now it's your turn to do your part. Now it's your turn to do your part. Okay? That's what Stanley wanted you to do. That's what David still wants you to do. David Lynch and Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is carrying on for his friend Stanley Kubrick and making the Napoleon movie that Stanley Kubrick never got to make because the studio refused to finance it. Okay? So there's a lot going on. I'm going to be working on this for some time. I will always bring you whatever I find. I'm not going to keep it to myself. No, if I'm wrong, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being wrong, especially if nobody's life is at stake. But if I'm trying to figure out what Stanley Kubrick was trying to tell us, that he thought we should know about this world and the people who run it, and how that affects our lives, yeah, I'm going to bring it to you, because I want you to know. I want you to be informed. I want you to be educated, not by me, but by yourselves. Learning begins and ends with you. Knowledge begins and ends with you. You're the only person who could teach yourself anything. All you have to do is want to. That's it. I can't teach you a damn thing. And neither could Stanley, really. He could just hopefully inspire you and use like these visual techniques that he used in his movie and movies. Yeah, and hopefully that'll point you not necessarily in the right direction, but in any direction. Just go, just do it. Just read, just think. Look at the world around you. All of the wonder and all of nature and people and the beautiful night sky and all the stuff. All the stuff that surrounds you on a daily basis. If you don't have thoughts about those things, situations, people, history, interactions that you have with people, whatever it is that you do for a living, or just the things that surround you on a daily basis. If you're not curious about those things and why they're there, I just don't know what to say. I really don't. But I hope I've inspired you at least a little bit to go and do something. Do some reading, some research. Watch a Stanley Kubrick movie. Watch a David Lynch movie. Go to a museum. Look at some art. Go find a book. Go on the internet. Look up some art. Or whatever you want to read about anything. Newspapers, magazines, blogs, whatever. This is not knowledge just for the sake of knowledge. Like that place where he ended up after when they put him out to pasture, after he was done with the Manhattan Project, the Institute for Advanced Studies. I covered that in this video here, The Women of the Shining. I'm telling you, Stanley just didn't like this person. Just like I also think that Stanley just really didn't like Stephen King. He couldn't stand him. I think he also couldn't stand Robert Oppenheimer, or Leslie Groves, or maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a better look at this guy. I'm gonna have to take a really good look at Edward Teller, but something's going on. Dr. Strangelove, whatever. So yeah, The Shining is about the Manhattan Project. I have decided. In my mind, I'm convinced. So I don't know how good a job I've done of convincing you. If you're still watching the video at this point, you're a real one. Thank you for being here. It means a great deal to me. So once again, thank you. I'm going to read. I hope you enjoyed the coffee. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. All right. I'm going to redo my church announcements, and then I'm going to let you go. So, returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. And all of you, doesn't matter why you're here, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos. If you know anybody who might be interested in any of this, I especially anticipate the comments every time I make one of these videos. Like I said, pretty soon I'll be doing a viewer mail. Pretty soon I'll be doing an Albert Einstein video, the eyebrow video, the video about, where is it? Hold up. This is a beautiful painting. Isaac Leviton. Check it out on my blog. But, about the four amigos, right? Halloran, Ullman, Durkin, and Watson. I'm going to be doing a video about them too, and who I think they represent with regard to the Manhattan Project. Jesus Christ. Ullman and Watson are tied at exactly 33% each. Well, how many people voted? 46. Well. Stay tuned for that video. I'm going to do more about Full Metal Jacket. Hold up. Oh, no. Videos. I'm going to do more about Full Metal Jacket. Stanley just really despised the people who make war. He couldn't stand them. And he let us know in his movies. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. And can't wait for the comments. And if you have any suggestions about maybe something you would like to know about The Shining and or the Manhattan Project, tell me in the comments. Help me help you. As they say. So I think I'm done now. Finally, I'm done. So until next time, you guys. Until the next time, when I find yet another reason to talk at you in one of these videos, I'm gonna go ahead and bid you bye bye. So, bye bye, everybody.